I'm Megan from TwoFeetFirst, and today's project is about organizing our kitchen cabinets. In particular, building these pull-out drawers or shelves, however you want to say them, to organize your kitchen. Now, in the years past, I've created other solutions for storage problems. So like this one is a pull-out baking sheet. And you can find the link to that tutorial in the description below. I do not have a video for that one, but it is fantastic. Another one that I did recently was this pull-out utensil drawer. And so you can find the video on that. I will link to that when it's available. But today we are talking about these pull-out drawers. And these guys are just a simple build on adding more storage because, let's be honest, if you have a shelf that doesn't pull out or something like that, it's really hard to get to the back of the cabinet. So when you have a drawer or a pull-out shelf, you are able to reach every part of the cabinet. And so that's why I like creating drawers for cabinets rather than just, for example, this one is just a shelf in the back, and so it's hard to access the things that are back there. So the benefit of having a drawer. But let's get into the tutorial.
Cabinets have standard sizes, but they can be slightly different, so make sure your shelf fits. You need to measure the size of your cabinet. Once you know how wide, deep, and tall the cabinet is inside, you're ready to create your plans. Here is a sketch of the pull-out shelf. To determine the length of your shelf will depend on how deep the cabinet is because it determines the size of your drawer slide. My cabinet was 24 inches deep, so I used a 21-inch drawer slide. For this tutorial, I'm using Blum motion slides, so the length of the drawer will be the length of the drawer slide, 21 inches in my case. For the width of the shelf, take the width of the cabinet and subtract 1 inch. This will allow the spacing needed for the slide. For the height of the shelf, you will make this any size you want, but in this tutorial, the sides were 4 inches tall. I am using 1/2 inch plywood for these drawers, so I need to adjust the base to sit inside the sides of the drawer because I will be using a 1/4 inch dado. So the bottom of the shelf needs to be 1/2 inch smaller from the width and length than the dimensions of the shelf. With this build, I decided to use a double rabbet joint to assemble the shelf. You will notice in the sketch that the pieces have grooves on the sides of the shelf to join together. To use this joint, subtract 1/2 inch from the drawer length, but leave the width the same for each side piece. Once I had all my cuts, I cut the 1/2 inch plywood to those sizes. After, it was time to add the dado and double rabbet joint to the pieces. I used my table saw to create the dado by placing the first cut 1/2 inch from the bottom of the side pieces. Then I adjusted the fence on the saw to give me a 1/2 inch dado. To add the double rabbet joint to the end of each side piece, the joint will be a 1/4 inch in from the edge and a 1/4 inch deep. I used a scrap board to help me test the cut. Also, I should have clamped a board to my fence to allow me for a safer cut. But you will notice I did keep my blade 1/8 of an inch away from the fence. But please be safer than I did and attach a board. This way you do not chance cutting the fence or making your wood kick back at you. To remove the 1/8 of an inch that I did not cut, I used a putty knife to chisel it away from the piece. After cutting, I sanded all the wood with 220 grit sandpaper with an Orbital sander until the plywood was smooth. To sand the dado, I used a sheet of sandpaper wrapped around a scrap 1/2-inch plywood piece. To assemble the drawer, I used 1 1/4-inch nails and wood glue, plus used clamps until the glue had dried. Okay, so now that I've created my drawers, I am going to create the little grooves right here, like this one, for my drawer slide. I'm using the Blum motion drawer slide. So I've created a little template that I can use, and I'm just gonna clamp it here. Into place. Then I just trace that guy. And now I'm gonna drill the hole, and as you can see, I have it marked with tape for where I need to stop. And I could have done this on the table saw before I assembled everything, but I forgot, so now I'm doing it now. I'm just going to check my fit. And that saw just doesn't want to get that spot for me, so I'm going to just try and cut it by hand. So now that I've finished this side, I'm gonna work on this side. after, I installed the sliders according to the instructions, but first, I did have to secure wood pieces to allow the drawer to slide out of the cabinet smoothly. Then I added the supplies and was left with this.
Thanks for joining me for today's project. Be sure to click the thumbs up button if you like this video, and if you want to check out some more projects before you leave, there is a playlist queued up to the side that I think you'll love. If you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you as part of this community, so be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell to get notified of my future videos. And I'll be back here next week with another project. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.